Hi everybody, this is Master E, Coach Enrique, with the For the Record podcast. Today we have this wonderful woman on the phone. Her name is Melissa Cutrie. She's the better half of Coach Todd Cutrie, and they both are a dynamite couple out of upstate New York that do really next level performance with people, and they're a dynamic duo because they look at the athlete and the families as a whole, not just as an individual athlete with a particular discipline, but in conversations I've had with Todd over the last couple years, I've only been impressed. And if you get a chance to follow them on Facebook, I'll let you talk about your Facebook page in just a minute. They're always putting information out there, and they don't hold anything back, and it's so impressive. Your programming format gets better and better and better, and I think what's most impressive is it's just your lifestyle. So Todd focuses on performance and positive thinking, and Melissa, it seems like you focus on positive thinking and health, and that's a topic that's very near to me. So I want to welcome you to For the Record, under oath, possibly. Here we are. Welcome to the show.
Well, it was beautiful. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. I'm humbled.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm so psyched about this conversation, and let's just get right into it. I messaged you this morning, and I said, hey, let's do a podcast on health. And you asked me back. You're like, why? Well, why health, or what's interesting? And I just mentioned, I went all the way back to Hippocrates and the very beginning that, health is within. The power is within us, which is right in alignment with, self-actualization, positive thinking, and everything that really puts the responsibility right back in the hands of the person.
Exactly. I think that's what led me to getting into health. I'll give you a little history first. I started out for whatever reason, my entire interest in life has always been about what the human body can do and how it can perform, and that's probably what drew Todd and I together way back in the a couple decades ago. And
he's a lucky man.
Thank you. I'm the lucky woman because he puts up with me. So, and he's clearly the more well-spoken one. So everything you're going to hear from me today is going to be pretty raw and unplanned. So, please to bear with me. When I've always been interested in pushing the limits and seeing what the body can do and seeing how far something can go, and it's been a good balance with Todd because he's like, yeah, there's a great benefit to seeing how far you can go, but what works the best and what has the most, what is the best way to do something without breaking somebody down, and bringing that around full circle to the health discussion is what can you do every single day that's going to give you the results that you want every single day to make you feel better, stronger, to accomplish what you want and have that supportive background. So all of that stuff really interests me, and that's how we got into this, and we've been so fortunate. Our journey has taken us across the country a couple times. We ended up settling down back home where we grew up, mostly because of family, and we didn't actually intend on staying. 15 years ago when we moved back to just help care for some elderly family members, and then we planned on leaving, and 15 years later we're still there. But it's been a really fun place to be because not a lot of people in that area understand that there's performance and think that they can get to where they want to get to from where they are, and being able to be there and go and come back and share that with other people, that's really become our passion at this point. And the health aspect of it, for me, health starts from the inside out, but
you can put us down, but you can't keep us down. Melissa, we're back. Finish what you were saying, and then I'd like to comment on something. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying how being able to, you had talked about health and asked me about how health, it comes from the inside and everything, and once you find that inner inspiration and you're feeling healthy and you're feeling good, and then that expands to everything else, and you want to bring that enlightenment back to your home and help other people, and and go back in and, bring other people to feeling like, they really experience what health is to them. And it does start from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And then you can expand from there. And then your health journey can take you, through mental health or physical health or financial health or whatever kind of health you're looking for. It can all just come together. And that's what our passion has been in trying to deliver that message to the kids right from, because our niche market is kids getting ready to, athletes that are training to perform at higher levels, whether it's college or semi-pro or pro or wherever they're going, amateur,
Yes.
international. Those are the people that we love, and being able to do that has been awesome.
Well, it's definitely a segment of the population that is the most fun to work with, is high performers, high achievers. It's actually how we met. So my programming over the years with my independent research study for Champion by Design and what that is, I'm yet to publish a thesis on it and pursue a doctorate in that technology in and of itself. It's been almost 30 years that I have myself focused on high performance as it applies to me, and then later began teaching to other people, working with other people when they approached me wanting some help. And that opened up a can of worms, because some of the first clients I had or people I worked with, they weren't high performers. They just wanted to improve themselves. And I learned pretty early on that if you take an ordinary person that has never been in a disciplined training environment, you have a whole other thing you have to deal with than someone who has, as we talk about high performers who are aspiring to be collegiate athletes or world Olympic athletes. You have your own children that are high performers. My own child is a high performer. We started that conversation before they were even born. I spoke to a dad today on the phone. His daughter is a phenom young little wrestler out of Tucson that just won the 14 and under Pan American Championships. That's the world level championships with their group. He never wrestled in his life, but his daughter's a phenom. But he had been like a football player. He's probably a big guy, Hispanic guy, and he had a reference point. He and his wife had conversations similar, I'm sure, as you have had, and as I've had to have without my own family, about what some of the roles were that our kids were going to have. And when you do it healthy, it's less about the discipline that your parents did, although I just saw a documentary about 12 kids or something, and they all do rodeo. I think your conversation is more relevant than anything. You asked me, why am I interested in health? It's because health is the basis. And it is a whole universe that should be a study in your life. When we're older, our bodies slow down. We have age-related illnesses. When we're young, the foundations that you lay will give you inches in height, power, strength, recovery ability. This is just such an exciting conversation, and I just want to hear more from you and who you guys are, what you do, what you're called, and why you're all so fired up about it.
Both of us we're both drawn to the physical, and like we were just excited about what the body can do, and it really started out in that type of a very basic environment, and then we went from there to how can we help others feel like achieve what they've been. My husband is a former Division I wrestler, and he's a high performer himself, and I would have to say that I'm more of the mental high performer. I'm the family nerd. I love research. I love studying. I love seeing what we can do and how we can perform better. I've recovered from quite a few major injuries, so my athletic career personally didn't go very far, but I've recovered in a way that I still feel that I'm an athlete. I'm mostly I just come back and I push myself, and I've recovered from back injury, and I can do anything that anybody asks me to do, and I have no limitations, and all of that comes from one, being trained by the best trainer that I know, my husband, and the other thing too is just having the daily habits and what you need to do every day to make yourself a little bit better, and whether it's eating right or thinking positive thoughts or getting yourself in the right environment, all those things matter as far as achieving what you want to achieve. And like you were saying, talking before your kids were born, we had that same conversation all through they're, before they were born, and then before, well, which wasn't very long after we met, we got married very quick and had kids like instantly. So there wasn't a lot of pre-kid conversation for us, but, all through their childhood and helping them become the best that they can be. And it's funny, the dynamic between having those conversations with your own children and your performance trainers and health coaches and whatever, and then helping other people.
Yes.
Because other people look up to you, and then your kids, you always have that element of, you're my parent, you're just telling me what to do. Or, this is, well, that's what you guys do, but I want to do something different, but they still want to achieve. So, like, ebbing and flowing through all of that, having it all be part of our lifestyle. Like, this is our life, this is the only thing we do, it's pretty much all we know. It's just, how can we help? Our whole life is just helping kids and having our lifestyle be helping people from the inside out, and, trying to help our kids understand that from a parent and a performance aspect. But then the dynamic is different when you're helping other people figure out from the inside out than it is from your own family.
Yes, 100%. I know it. This conversation, we can go in so many directions, and we can spend days doing it. And perhaps one day we will come together and teach, on a platform, do this live with groups of people, which is ultimately the best way to learn this stuff, when you actually meet face to face. But if there was like one area like where we would create an aha, because the idea of health is so broad, and people don't understand that conversation starts, again, before you had your kids, if you're raising kids. And then we definitely, as we grow up, we have age-related illnesses, injuries, scarification, and calcification from former athletic careers that creeps up. We have to manage things differently. Our hormone levels change. And I don't know how much you two focus on hormone focus, but for me, in middle age now, having been a very high performer that did a lot of output when I was young, now things are starting to creep up. I've had to start to look at things that can help me turn back the hands of time a little bit. And, one of the most fascinating things, actually, my daughter and I are looking at right now is actually gene therapy, where we actually change the DNA in our bodies, which is just cutting edge science that a lot of people don't know exists today. It's just more of a matter of the delivery system. How do you actually get it in your body in the right way? But you're talking about taking kids that are blind because they're missing genes from both parents, and by injecting the eyeballs, it swaps through a process called CRISPR. It swaps the genes that are bad and replaces them with the good genes, and the eyes regenerate and the eyesight comes back. I mean, these are miracles that we're in the times that we're living at today. And knowledge and awareness is the first step to change. I think there's a gross disparity between what people know is going on and what they're struggling with and thick in the middle of in their day-to-day lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You're right. We could go like 20 million different miles with this whole conversation. Like you're saying, the gene restructuring, which I think is very cool. On a side note, one of our daughters got diagnosed a few years ago with type 1 diabetes, and nobody else in our family has it, but there is a gene marker for it. And I mean, like, that would be amazing if she could go in and have, some gene replacement done, reorganizing whatever that she needs to have done, and have her pancreas start working again, have some beta cells, like rebirth. That would be amazing and take such a load off of her. But aside from the cutting edge technology and all of the like amazing stuff that's going on, like what can people do on a daily basis to get themselves closer to where they want to be? And honestly, it comes down to like the simple things too, just incorporating like, what does your daily routine look like? What are you doing to care for yourself every single day? Like what are your goals that you've got, and what's your next step to get there? But also keeping those goals there, so you've got your why of why you want to actually make it a priority. And I think people knowing deep within themselves why they're going after something that they're going for, they won't get burnt out when they hit that obstacle that's coming, because there's always going to be an obstacle. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and you need to keep yourself at a baseline the healthiest you possibly can, then you've got to have that why there, and you've got to know what steps you need to take to get there. And little things like, are you eating properly every day? And are you eating for keeping your inflammation down? And do you know how to eat to get rid of back and neck pain, and without even having to do anything extravagant? And when we realized that it came down to the real simple things that you're doing and treating yourself every day, and you're treating yourself properly every day, and that building a life of good health isn't about avoiding all of the quote unquote bad stuff. Building a life of health is do what you need to do on a daily basis. It's not going to be a perfect journey, but it is a journey. You're going to run into hardships, but you've got the tools and the structure and what you need to know to rely on to get yourself back to where you need to get to. And if you go and have a bender for a weekend, because some people really enjoy those, then you know what you need to do to dial it back in the rest, the rest of the week, so that you're not completely off course. But when you're really focused and you're really moving towards something, it's not hard to stay focused and on point and just keep moving forward. And I think the probably the broadest way to describe health would be, what are you doing every single day that's going to get you where you're going to get, and are you on point, and have you chosen the right path?
Right. And I mean, we got to remember, because we've been privileged. You and I both have been privileged, and we were exposed from an early age in our lives to what it means to be disciplined, to have a work ethic, and and we had to measure that back to our diet too. Whether we had a sport that required a weight management, or just to be able to physically push that load through training all week and get ready for competition, recover from injuries. I had my first diet came from a physician who wrote me a script to gain weight because I was losing weight. We thought maybe I had some kind of genetic problem because I was so small, and what it was I had started wrestling. I just started training 7 days a week, 6 days a week, and I was burning more calories. So I went on my first high calorie diet, and it wasn't the same type of diet I would have done later in my life when I had to gain 20 pounds to stay relevant wrestling when they changed the weight classes from 105. I ended up retiring at 125 and a half from 105 pounds as a man. But I was sucking a lot of weight. I was sucking 22 pounds. So why is health important to me? Because I was sucking 22 pounds to get down to 105 and a half pounds to wrestle internationally. And how did I do it? I didn't do it on cheeseburgers and fries. I did it on a live, raw food diet that was focused on assimilating the nutrition as quickly as I could with as little interference as possible. Because people don't understand that over 50% of the energy you expend a day is in digestion. Over 50. Right. It could be 75. Your brain alone sucks up 20-30%. So that leaves a very small margin for everything else. And this is fact. So you have to eat to live, not live to eat. And and she's right. Melissa is right. When you get into a routine, you do something every single day, 7 days a week, and you do that for a while, you will embed a pattern, a habit for life. But if you skip a day of your discipline, you're not even believe this, but some studies say that the failure rate goes up 50 plus to 80%. If you miss one day of being aware of your focus. So, I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this going, oh man, but I love my pizza. You can eat pizza. That's not a problem. Just make sure that the other days of the week, you're keeping it real so that you can really enjoy it. Because I'll tell you this, from a weight cutting perspective, the greatest meals I've ever had are the most basic things in the world that I could eat after weigh-ins.
Right. People don't even realize how good simplicity tastes. Honestly, it's so fulfilling and so refreshing. And yeah, to your point too about, you can still enjoy your pizza. The whole idea for that ends up being mindset. Like, you can set yourself up for a successful journey even if you do have pizza, because you're building that in and you're taking responsibility for that decision, and not just having it be like, well, I blew that, so I'm going to go. Like I always tell my clients, I'm like, so you made a mistake or something bad happened and you got a flat tire. Are you going to walk up to your car and slash the other 3 tires because, it didn't go perfect? You make that decision that you're going to be successful, and you build in whatever kind of days you need to build in, but that you're doing it informed, and you're taking that responsibility for yourself.
Yeah. And I know our lives are busy. I think people are asking me, where our focus in, and where our focus is as a company, as a life enhancement systems. It's all mental related. It's all strategies for realizing an extraordinary quality of life. But if I were to sum it down to one thing, I'd say we're the sleep experts. And why would I say that? Is because it is proven that if you miss your sleep, you go crazy. That's the number one indicator of mental illness, and it becomes a domino effect, it cascades down to ultimately, critical illness. Your body's got to recover. So why do I bring this up? Because in order to change your lifestyle and behaviors in your lifestyle, you don't need much, but you do need a little bit of space. And I hope you agree with me that like the most important meeting you ever have every day is the one that you schedule with yourself at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, when you're stepping back just long enough to reinforce the things that are working and make some conscious decisions. Because again, this isn't hard work. I mean, even stopping smoking, which is how I got started in the business. Few people know that because it's so long. I got into my work by helping people with addictions change. And I was doing a test based on what I was reading from personal development books. And I said, well, if this stuff really works, I should be able to do it too. And that's where I made my first entry into the business. I was helping people go from, I'm an addict and I'm dependent on this chemical and drug, my big pharma or whatever, and I'm turning that around. And now I'm autonomous. So it wasn't too difficult to step into high performance, have success in my own life. And when people came to me and they were telling me, I'm top 20, well, why can't you be number one? And Henry Cejudo went into the Olympic Games, seated 31st in the world. There's only 16 people in the bracket, and he won. All right? So it happens more often than you think. Adam Wheeler, he never made it to the state tournament in high school, but he has Olympic hardware as a bronze medalist, an author now, and a world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete at this point. And so I always believe that the best stories are the ones where you went from there was no chance to getting it, right? And then the lessons we learn along the way, who we become along the way.
Yeah, Todd and I were just talking about that. Actually, we have this conversation quite a bit, and he was reminding me while I'm here at this conference, he's like, you make sure you make that time to journal. Don't just get caught up in everything that you're learning and all the stuff that you're doing and all the people that you're with. Make sure you stop and journal and take note of what's working, what's inspiring you, and how you're moving forward. And when you come home, come home refreshed and be ready to roll. And I'm like, all right, you're right. Thank you for that reminder. And yeah, sleep, huge. And you asked previously about hormones. It's kind of interesting, me getting up in my 40s. I work with a lot of women these days with our families that come in, and obviously, women in their 40s and 50s go through a lot of hormone changes, and being able to help guide them simply like through just performing better as parents and feeling good about themselves and feeling like they can keep up with their kids because their inflammation's down and their hormones are in check and they're feeling good about themselves because they've switched up some of their habits. That's why we do what we do.
That's wonderful. It's really clear. I am at a point where when I talk to someone, I want to know what they really think. I want to know, for the record, if this was the last conversation you ever had right now that was going to be available and broadcast to anyone that came across it, what would you say?
Oh, was that actually a question or was that hypothetical?
Well, I would say, and then that you're on the spot. You're on the hot seat, dear. Let's go.
I am on the hot seat. I would say that I am so honored that you asked me to have this conversation because I really love speaking and hearing from like-minded people. Like I love that you're out there and you're out. Well, I should say you're out here. You're out west doing just exactly what Todd and I love to do with people back on the East Coast, and having this bridge between the two of us now is like great, and I'm really looking forward to future conversations and meeting in person actually, and doing some stuff in person. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. So don't you're deflecting the question. If these were the last 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and you could take all your life, all your experience, you have one message. And oftentimes it's, we think, okay, if this was a message that my young child or grandchild of mine was going to listen to right down the road or watch down the road, what do I distill? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but we've touched on some of those themes. I mean, you're like you said, you're in your 40s, you've lived, you have something to truly give back to a stranger in your own bloodline. If you had a message, Melissa, that you would share, what would it be? What matters?
My message that matters the most to me is no matter what you set yourself up for, and no matter what you're working towards, and no matter how you're going about what you're doing, no matter what you come across, don't ever give up and don't quit. The most important thing in performance and high performance is you've got to keep going no matter what, and you just keep working on like taking anything that comes at you and reframing it for yourself or reframing it for your athletes or your loved ones, and you just keep moving forward and you find the next best solution. And if things are going really great, don't get comfortable in them, but you know, go ride out that greatness and see, and then just look for your next opening to what can improve. And then when things come up and you hit an obstacle or things start going awry or you have no idea what's coming at you next, you look for your opening still and you just keep going and you find the good in everything that you can and that you're working towards, and you find how it benefits you and you leave the stuff behind that doesn't work, and then you just keep going without apology, and you find yourself in that because you didn't give up on yourself and you didn't let any excuse or any obstacle or anything else get in your way. And I think that is true health, because when you can move past something that requires willpower to keep going because you haven't quite made the decision that you want to do, but you know what you're supposed to do, so that relies on willpower. But when you've built yourself a structure that's simple, it might not be easy to carry out, but simple, then you can keep relying on that structure that you've set up for yourself, and it's got flexibility, and you just keep moving forward towards your goals. And I think in life, having goals and having a why of what you want to do and contributing and giving back to the world, and just keep moving forward and knowing that everybody else has their own troubles, but you can inspire people when you just keep moving towards your goals.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It made me think of a few things that I want to wrap up. Yeah, thank you so much. It is an honor to share this conversation with you. You have an on-site facility. Where is it? Is it in Syracuse? Is that right?
It's just outside of Syracuse, New York. Yes, right on the east side.
And what's the name of it?
It's called Titletown Fight Club.
That's right, Titletown Fight Club. And they train all sorts of athletes right there. You can access them personally, access them virtually. They both are pushing out content just about every single day. Todd is anyway, and Melissa's. I see you coming more and more and more, which is I was so motivated to get you on the air here because of that. So know that the fact that you are making that effort is why we're having this talk right now. That's it. So keep doing it, because hopefully I'm sure others will follow and they'll contact you because they never knew you existed. And so you never know when you're going to be in New York. You just never know, but you got to know where people are to even think about it. And,
to make that connection, exactly.
And that's the thing, is like so here's the thing, guys, is when you are when you do what Melissa just said, and you just basically selfishly focus on taking care of yourself, because if you take care of yourself, you take care of the people in your life, right? You have the biggest impact in your life when you're glowing, not when you're struggling to just make ends meet. I've seen that happen. I've seen that destroy families. Good intentions are the root. They say that all good or the road to hell is paved by good intentions. That's that old saying. And you don't want to regret waiting for someday to do your dream, to start focusing on your health, to be there physically with the people that you love, especially when they're young, because there's no way a check can make up for the loss of time. Time is our greatest asset. And when you're working on yourself, you are teaching your young ones, or the people that are around you on a regular basis. You're teaching them what it looks like. You're reinforcing these behaviors, these beliefs. So you think, hey, it's just me, but no. Every single day, you're impacting anybody and everybody that you relate with, associate with. So a quarter century ago, I got a little storage unit in San Diego, California, in Poway, California. Have you ever been there? It's that U-Haul storage unit right there. And I got a little storage 10 by 10 box, and I put every one of my belongings in there and kept what I needed to begin migrating, because I had the opportunity to wrestle at the Olympic Training Center. And they gave me a room, they gave me food, they gave me medical, and I decided that putting my vocation and career that I was well into, which was as an independent filmmaker in Southern California, going between LA and San Diego, Had work that was displayed on MTV when that meant something. It was winning festivals and awards, aspiring to be a Academy Award-winning filmmaker. I put all that on hold because I realized that I had this tiny little window that had opened up in my life because of applying the power of the human potential. It opened up for me, and I moved to Colorado Springs. And he asked me, was it worth it? And I'm like, man, how can I? Definitely hasn't been perfect, but my response was real simple. It's like, I have my daughter because of it.
No, that's everything.
I don't have a kid because of it. I have my daughter. The 1 second this way, 1 second that way throughout life, I would have not that child.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even have to answer yes or no. I have, absolutely it was worth it, right?
Yeah,
And
that is the most beautiful answer.
And that's how life works. So, what changes our lives is when we get up and we go somewhere, not when we just read it at home. We have the internet to give us ideas, but then you actually have to fly into another city, rent the car, and go into Canada like we did this summer. Never been to Canada. I brought my daughter to Canada, took our passports. We drove around Lake Ontario. We stopped by the National Olympic headquarters in Ottawa, Canada, and we saw Toronto. We saw Montreal. It was really great. We came down to visit an old friend who's an expert on endocannabinoids and how they are the core of reducing inflammation. It's the most natural thing in the world, and his name is Dr. Bob Melamede, which we've interviewed him several times over the years. And no, it's just do what you can every day. Just make it a priority. Awareness is the first step to change. And for me, I got really into health and what it meant to be in optimum health because I ran into a place that was almost like a freak show. And the claims were really freaky. It was a non-medical facility, one of these health institutes that are out there, and there are a couple that I do endorse and recommend here in the States. And they all focus on optimum health, okay? And you get people that are there that were terminally diagnosed with cancer, which is a big deal in my family. My mom had cancer, my dad was a cancer survivor, my sister's a cancer survivor. And so it left an imprint on me. And they say that, why do you focus on your health? Because 1 in 2 Americans to 1 in 3 Americans will develop cancer in their life. However, athletes, at least it's a statistic a few years ago, was 1 in 7 athletes, those who recognize themselves as athletes, who actually move their body, oxygenate their body, focus on sleep, who take care of themselves, the number is 1 in 7 will develop cancer in their life, as opposed to 1 in 2.
That is impressive.
So what do you got to do? Walk with your kids. I don't care how tired you are. Move, stretch, get the blood flow moving. You don't have to be a freak of nature. You just have to take care of yourself and be conscious. Make one good choice every single day that keeps propelling you in that positive direction. And, the rest will take care of itself. Believe me, it'll take care of it, especially if you have children that you're raising right, because now you know that you really made an impact in the world. And I'm kind of really biased. I mean, the person I was before I was a dad is a whole other person, and anybody that has known me for a long period of time knows that. And it's the greatest gift I've ever had is that I got this beautiful creature that that is just like me in so many ways because of the time we put in.
Right. That is beautifully put.
So anything else you like to say?
To your point of taking care of yourself is not selfish, but you should do it selfishly because like they say when you're in an airplane, if you're going to help somebody else, you have to put your own air mask on first. So it's really hard to help somebody if you're on your last leg. You can't really put that effort towards being a help to somebody else if you haven't been helping yourself. Correct.
How do people get a hold of you or Todd or your Tough Town Fitness? Give us that plug right now. Take as much time as you can in the next couple minutes.
You can get a hold of either of us on Facebook for sure. Our names are Todd Cutrie, Cutrie. You can find him readily available on Facebook. He does lots of lives, and you'll know exactly where he's coming from in his heart. He puts it out there freely and just loves to help people and give people perspective and keep them moving forward in life. And dealing with hardships or dealing with difficult situations and just propelling people forward. And you can find me on Facebook as well, same last name, Cutrie, and my first name is Melissa. I'm a health coach and performance coach. My husband does a lot of the performance and the strength coach. He's an incredible strength coach. He does sports specific, position specific, injury recovery for athletes, and now parents that realize that they may still have that inkling to be athletes in their lives, helping them rediscover their inner athlete and work out with their kids. And as their kids are getting ready for their sports, he's getting them ready for, being better parents on the sidelines.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Wow.
that's how you can find us.
Health is number one. What a great platform